Good morning, everybody. Today we begin a chapter 13, on the topic of fasting. And I find it almost humorous that in the providence of God, as we begin a new year, we begin it with a chapter on fasting. It's almost as if God knew that after a season of feasting, we would need a season of fasting. Now, the first thing I want to say about fasting is that while it seems pretty common in Scripture, it seems pretty rare in the contemporary church. And I want you to ask yourself that question as we go through these 5 devotionals this week. I want to begin by giving you the author's definition of fasting because it's a good functional starting point to think about fasting. This is what he says. He says, fasting is a voluntary, temporary reduction in comfort so that, in other words, purpose, so that we can redirect our spiritual energies to God. Now, let's just think about that for a second. Let's kind of unpack that. First of all, he says it's voluntary. In other words, it's not mandatory. It is an intentional choice that we make. And you've heard me say this many times. We make our choices, and our choices make us. Secondly, he says it's temporary. In other words, it's not a permanent, but rather it's a short-term choice that we make. Thirdly, to reduce our comfort. In other words, a reduction in comfort. Now that's interesting because the word comfort broadens it out from just eating. This is more than just a reduction in eating for a day or a week or a certain period. This is a reduction in anything that gives us comfort, which sounds a little counterintuitive because, quite frankly, we go through our lives looking for ways to comfort ourselves. I mean, we even call it comfort food, right? So anything is fair game if it really falls into that category of something that gives us comfort. And we'll look at some categories tomorrow. So it's a choice that we make for a temporary reduction in comfort, and now the purpose so that we can redirect our spiritual energy to God. Now, it really sounds like the replacement theory that you see in Scripture, where we are to put off, something that's sinful and put on that which is pleasing to God. The difference would be that this is not a replacement necessarily of sin. This is a replacement of comfort. So it's very intriguing at that level. Why? Why would we ever want to reduce our comfort level? Well, we'll get into that tomorrow, but I want to encourage you to just take that definition. I would encourage you to memorize it. It's pretty easy to memorize, and give some thought to, have you ever actually fasted in your life, and what were the benefits? What happened? And then let's come back, and tomorrow we'll continue the conversation by looking at some different ways that we can fast. Have a great day.